Māori will be able to change between the Māori and general electoral roles as often as they like under a new bipartisan agreement between Labour and National on changes to the Māori electoral option. Currently, Māori can only switch between the Māori and general electoral roles once every 5 to 6 years during a 4-month slot after the census, despite elections occurring every 3 years. The Māori electoral option legislation bill making the proposals law is expected to pass this week and will come into effect in March next year. Professor Dominic O'Sullivan nō Te Raroa Ngāti Kahu is Professor of Political Science at Charles Sturt University in Australia and is adjunct professor at the AUT Taupua Waiora Centre for Māori Health Research and is with us now. Tēnā koe, Professor O'Sullivan. Thank you for joining us.
Tēnā koe.
Now, Māori will be able to change roles at any time and as often as they like, except during pre-election periods. Why, and what are the benefits of these changes?
Well, I think if we look at the by-election that's coming up in the general seat of Hamilton West in a few weeks to illustrate the point. People on the Hauraki Waikato role might decide that this is an opportunity to get in and have a second say, as it were. Or they might be supporters of particular candidates and want to change just to have a vote, then change back to the Māori role for the next general election. So it's a distorting of the system. The idea is while people can change whenever they like because their views on which is the best role for them might change, there do need to be those safeguards to protect, I guess, one or other role being swamped by new voters who don't really have a commitment to that electorate in the event of a by-election. And that's one of the protections. But other than that, and other than for similar reasons not being able to change role in the 3 months leading up to a parliamentary or local government election, the idea is that people quite legitimately, for all sorts of reasons, change their views. Perhaps they've gone on one role and decided it was a mistake and want to change. And this Act will allow them to do that.
Are Māori disadvantaged under this option?
I don't think so, no, because if people want to make one decision or the other, then they can do that freely.
Okay.
Until now, they've not been able to exercise that free choice. As you said, it's once every 5 years.
Now, Te Pāti Māori had a bill similar to this, and it was rejected last week, but only the Green Party voted in favour. What are your thoughts on the bipartisan agreement on this bill instead?
Well, because this bill affects electoral matters, it requires a 75% vote in Parliament. It's not enough to get a simple majority as it usually is. So the government couldn't get this legislation through without the support of the National Party.
Right.
And I think really the main reason for the Māori Party's bill not being supported last week is a political one. If a government thinks it's got a good idea, doesn't want to let another party pinch it.
Yeah.
So the government wanted to be able to get credit for this change that a lot of Māori people have been arguing for a long time, and wants to be able to go to the election and say to Māori voters, well, we listened to these arguments and we've acted upon them.
All right, we'll see how this goes. Professor Dominic O'Sullivan, appreciate your time today. Ngā mihi.
Kia ora.